Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name's Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer today, and we're going to be taking a look at this up-and-coming Mercury Cazimi in the sign of Virgo. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click that bell button so you're alerted as to when I have new videos coming out. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday trying to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. And drop me a comment and let me know your guys' Cazimi moments. Let me know your sun, moon, or rising and some of these kind of epiphanies or aha moments that you guys have this week. Now, you guys know me. I'm here to help guide you through what's going on with the stars and the mysteries of some of the stuff that's unfolding. If you're new here, drop me a comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd love to hear from some of the newer people that are subscribing. We're seeing lots of growth in the channel, so thank you guys so much. And well, today we're talking all about the kind of powerful effects of this Mercury Cazimi in Virgo taking place on September 13th, 2025. Now, this will be a moment of mental clarity and I think empowerment that you do not want to miss. Now, if you guys stay tuned to the end of the video, I'll take you through the 12 rising signs, talk about the predictions and how to make the most of this Mercury moment, where to spot the messages, and what we most likely might be letting go and leaving behind. Also, something else to consider is I do talk about this in my September horoscope. So if you guys have not seen them, check them out on the channel. They're live for the 12 rising signs. Now, I guess when we talk about the Cazimi, this is always like a fun little transit that we have. It happens a couple times a year where Mercury comes into a superior conjunction with the sun. This will be happening in the very early morning hours of September 13th, 2025. So I'm Central Time here in Texas. It's going to be happening around 5:40 a.m. So it'll be around 3:30 or 3:40 a.m. on the Pacific Coast and around 6:40 a.m. on the Eastern Coast. But we have people all over the world, so you might have to adjust your time zone to kind of get the most of it and see where this is happening. And I'm excited to see what happens, because I feel like in the midst of like eclipse season and also in the midst of all these conjunctions with the South Node, there's just a lot of things that we're kind of shaking out. And likely this is going to be a period of time where we're really going to see some kind of breakthroughs. So you guys will probably see the effects of this happening either in your dreams, overnight, the 12th into the early morning hours of the 13th, or in your kind of early morning kind of communications and meetings and text messages and emails and all of that kind of mercurial things. You'll see that kind of unfold. Now, the Cazimi happens when the Sun and Mercury come into conjunction, and this is going to be taking place at 20 degrees of Virgo. So if you have anything around, I would say 18, 19, 20, 21, maybe even 22 degrees, this is going to be most prominent for you. Virgo placements, obviously, but also if you happen to be ruled by Mercury. So I would say not just my Virgo and Virgo risings, my Gemini and Gemini risings, as well as my Leo and Leo risings, because this is a transit that involves the sun. But because we're also seeing aspects just days prior to the South Node, I think everybody's going to kind of feel like this collective clearing out leading up to the 13th. So if you guys have been following along with some of the videos, Sun conjunct the South Node, Mercury conjunct the South Node, coming off a lunar eclipse, obviously, in Pisces, and we're building into what's going to be a solar eclipse that's going to be taking place in Virgo in just a week and a half. So basically, this is a brief period that's very potent, a very potent window where Mercury's energy is being supercharged by the sun's vitality. In theory, the kind of conjunction represents a message being relayed to the sun, and it's also going to represent something that is kind of breaking down and dying off and then being reborn. So, I think when this Cazimi kind of takes place, it's going to be obviously a very deep kind of like mental stimulating transit. It's going to be taking place at 20 degrees. And this is really, it has this kind of Scorpio undertone to it because of that 20 degree kind of connection. Now, Mercury does rule the South Node. That's also important because the South Node is representing what we're releasing in the past. So I think that gives it a little bit more of an extra punch as well, because it's really emphasizing what we're going through during this September eclipse season, where we're releasing past patterns like overanalysis or worry, being self-critical, dealing with bad habits or changes with our work schedule. And this is sandwiched between that September 7th lunar eclipse in Pisces and the September 21st solar eclipse in Virgo. So I see the South Node connections and also the Cazimi almost acting like a bridge offering a brief moment of like crystal clear insights and how to navigate some of the karmic shifts that are happening in the fated changes during this eclipse season. Now, it's also a period where we see like there can be some cosmic downloads that can happen where we are letting go and we're also kind of refining our path. Mercury will oppose Saturn in Pisces a few short days later on the 17th. And this is really hinting, I think, at some of the limitations that we're going to be facing for this up and coming eclipse on the 21st. So in my mind, we want to use the Cazimi as kind of like a foreshadowing of picking up potential problems, breakdowns, issues that will then be shown to us during the solar eclipse in Virgo as it opposes Saturn. So you guys are watching obviously a couple days prior to this, but like I said, the conjunction is going to be happening on the 13th. But just to kind of recap, if you go back with what's been happening the last couple of days, we saw Mercury conjunct the South Node around the 11th of September. And then we see Mercury start coming into conjunction with the Sun, which happens around the 12th. The Cazimi is going to be on the 13th as these two align. And then as we are approaching the solar eclipse on September 17th, before that happens, Mercury will oppose Saturn. So that's going to show us some of like the blockages or the limitations, which may then come up during the solar eclipse that we are going to see as the Sun makes the same opposition to Saturn. So we got to look at all the pieces of the puzzle together to kind of see what's been happening. For me, you know, I also think about with the Cazimi on the 13th, the connection that Mercury has to Gemini, and obviously the transiting moon is going to go through Gemini. It's going to conjunct Uranus, which is going to symbolize kind of like emotional awakenings, really strong intuition, writing, learning, connecting, communicating, and also themes revolving around transportation, data, media, education, and school. And we also think about the Sun's connection, obviously, to Venus in Leo. Venus is moving through a solar sign. So I do think that it's going to also be touching on the health of children, maybe some, romantic relationship dramas in the workplace, anything revolving around childhood education. Virgo is very much about schedules and routines. So I think we're going to be hearing a lot more regarding, health regulations with children and recommendations for medications and treatments, preventative measures, and also how that's going to be impacting people and going to school. So like childhood vaccine schedules, I think might be part of the themes that's kind of coming up, but there could be more, could be other Virgo related things as well. So this kind of Cazimi is really potent because it's really emphasizing, okay, the awareness is actually more about what we need to release, what we need to let go of. And I think for many of us, if we apply this degree theory at 20 degrees, and that Scorpio kind of influence that comes up, it's symbolizing the intensity of what we must do in order to make big changes when it comes to our health and habits, what we must transform, and the secrets and the power and the rebirth that can kind of come through being like, okay, I have this information, now I'm going to go and make a change. So when we apply it to the Cazimi, it's adding a little bit more depth to, Mercury's kind of practical mindset in Virgo. And it's really, I think, providing for a lot of us the opportunity to have some profound revelations, maybe even some research breakthroughs or some investigative kind of tendencies, really in-depth conversations, and the ability to really transform how we think and how we communicate with other people. Scorpio, 8 and 20 degrees correlate with kind of digging beneath the surface in a way and exposing hidden truths. So applying this to Virgo's more detail-oriented nature, it's going to be showing a lot of like these kind of deep penetrating insights and showing us where we have the opportunity for like mental rebirth, healthier habits in terms of how we're working, detoxification, cleansing, things connecting also, I think, to healing. Like it could be that there's some breakthrough in new technology connecting to health. We could hear that there is some breakthrough in, information pertaining to children and like learning disabilities. We could also hear that there's going to be new information revolving around curing like deadly diseases or anything kind of connecting to terminal diseases. So I think we're going to continue to hear more kind of information coming out about like treatments for cancer, or other treatments that are kind of connected to mental health as well. So that's likely going to be something that's going to be playing out in the world. Now, the Sabian symbol that we would actually be reading for this would be 21 degrees of Virgo, because we're going to round up. It's 20 degrees in about 54 minutes. And that Sabian symbol is a girls' basketball team, which says the theme here is expression and team spirit. So the symbol speaks to teamwork and everyone working together, doing what each other does best in the shared division of labor. It also speaks to the endless number of opportunities that exist for an individual to make his own niche in the world and in some special area. The image of a girls' basketball team emphasizes cooperation, and it alludes to the fact that life is a game which everyone will be the winner when they pool their resources and work together towards common goals. At its highest, it represents self-fulfillment in group work, flexibility, and skill, making quick and effective adjustments to the unexpected twists and turns of life. Watch for a preference for going along with the group rather than having a voice and an opinion to act independently. The accent is on teamwork. Pooling resources can be the solution to accomplishing difficult tasks, and enthusiasm runs high. Your greatest advantage lies in choosing the right person for the job, have a plan, and stick to it. So the stepping stones are team spirit, ambition, division, labor, group, effort. And let's see. And the risk here, it says guard against going along with the crowd because you're afraid to say no. You might find yourself headed for a wall. Interesting. So I think with the South Node being there, it's being like, we're not just going along with like what's popular, right? We're not just kind of like going along with things because we feel like we want to maintain the status quo. And I have found that a lot of the conjunctions or the aspects to the South Node in Virgo so far has been like, are we actually getting work done, or are we just kind of running around acting busy, and acting productive, and whether or not like we're actually feeling like we're making the necessary kind of changes in our schedule and our day-to-day life to like make more time for what's going to be beneficial for us or what's going to bring us ultimately more joy. Now, in terms of what to watch for, obviously for me, I love Cazimis because it always represents like that moment where there can be a little kind of cosmic connection with Mercury, like he can play tricks. And he rules over, obviously, travel, communications. He's connected to health. He's connected to commerce and trade, education even. And oftentimes Mercury works in a way where he has like riddles, or he'll drop little clues. So like maybe you'll find that, you were looking for, an answer to something, and then it's just like, boom, you have a conversation with somebody and like they give you, the information that you were seeking. And you're like, whoa, okay, that was like a very, Cazimi moment. Or something that was missing, like an email or a text message or a missing piece of information. You go digging during this period and you do some reflecting, and then boom, you find your answer, and it kind of like pops up out of the ethers. Number sequences, license plates. That's another thing that I noticed a lot with Mercury Cazimi moments, that you'll have like that breakthrough that'll kind of come through. That's going to help give you some kind of clarity, not only about how you can release and let go of something in the Virgo area of your life, but how to make sense of it, how to do it in a way that is going to feel a little bit more structured and organized. It could also mean that it's giving you some insights to something you've already been thinking about or dreaming about or kind of wondering, and you get that confirmation. And I would also watch for, downloads. If you're a meditator, if you're somebody who works in divination, if you like to do, obviously tarot and astrology, this can be great days to kind of get some insight and see some things that maybe you haven't seen before, and receive important messages or clarity in confusing situations. So, in Virgo, for a lot of us, it's going to involve health updates, work updates, organizational epiphanies, health results, meetings and changes with work and with schedules. But we do want to be cautious of the South Node and like the overthinking or the critical self-talk that can actually come up as a result of the South Node connection. Now, to best work with the Cazimi, you don't really have to do much. Maybe have like a paper and pen on you, or you jot some notes down, or you decide to pull a couple of tarot cards. Usually Cazimis are pretty good at kind of revealing themselves, and I think with this one it definitely will, considering the moon is going to be moving through Gemini, so it's going to be really, feeling very much affected by the Mercury Cazimi. And then just shortly after the Cazimi, the moon's going to keep moving, and it's going to come into a square with the sun and Mercury, and it's going to represent the last quarter square as we're approaching the next solar eclipse that's going to be on the 21st. So I think that the predictions for this obviously is going to be hard to predict because the South Node means really there's a lot of stuff from the past coming back up. It's not so much future related. Also, it is an aspect to Jupiter, which rules the North Node. So it is saying actually it can be really beneficial getting all of this stuff out in the open, cleaning it up, organizing it, dealing with it, because it's going to provide, better emotional security, better emotional growth, more joy, opportunity for positive changes when it comes to our home and our families with the sextile to Jupiter and Cancer. But this is the breakdown, basically. The South Node is the breakdown. The Cazimi is the ending of one narrative or one belief system or one kind of idea or perspective. And it's certainly going to be tied to media. So I think we're going to see some pretty jaw-dropping news or information revolving around media, kind of spinning things revolving around these Virgo topics. We could also see, things kind of like, kind of fry in a way, with like feeling a little mentally fried. And we can have some issues with transportation, communications, or network. So it could also mean that there is some kind of something that's breaking down. Anyway, I think that the Cazimi really signals like a rush for needing to clarify information. And what it's doing is it's bringing what's been kind of hidden details to light in Virgo areas like health, labor, and the service sectors. So I do expect breakthroughs that will come up throughout this week and really into the eclipse regarding, research, policy refinements and exposés on, inefficiencies in the system, or public services. I do think that this can be news revolving around changes going on with certain companies and certain staff. There can also be like a breakdown or some issues with communications or with certain like applications. So we could be bringing people back in to do some of these jobs that we've actually been having apps run that could be having some problems. Now, I do think amid, eclipse season, this can really accelerate some of the fated shifts that are happening also in global communication. So, diplomatic clarification, tech innovations for efficiency, media revelations that are exposing truth, I think are really big. And you want to watch for people walking back the narratives and things that are kind of changing compared to what they were saying maybe 6 months, 12 months ago. And Virgo's precision is definitely going to highlight either environmental or economic details leading to practical reforms, while the Cazimi is an empowering moment, and it's really here to kind of foster collective problem solving for real world improvements. And that's where it's like we all have to kind of do our part to be a part of the team, right, to actually, compete and be able to kind of have some kind of win. So I think that's going to be the key. I think you're going to hear a lot of like leaders with the Cazimi because of the sun being like, look, this is what we have to do to fix the problem. And I think a lot of it is tying directly to economic issues and also health related matters. But I also feel like it could be a lot of data and information and analysis that's coming up, because Virgo can be about like, bringing out charts and graphs and data and information, not just pertaining to health, but it could be economists, it could be journalists. This could also be people who have stunning like medical breakthroughs or like new news regarding some of this stuff that's kind of shedding a light on, what actually we thought was working or what was healthy or was effective is not. And I think that's going to be part of this as well as we're kind of heading into the eclipse season. Now, my advice is to just pay attention to really everything that's happening pretty much the entire week. So pretty much this whole week, there has been this theme that's been leading up to this moment that's going to give us some insight as to, where we're making changes, where we need to kind of dig a little bit deeper, maybe even where we need to kind of tune in or tap into our intuition and realize that there are certain kind of walls that we're hitting where things just aren't working. And I think it's going to better prepare us for the solar eclipse on the 21st so we can set some of these new intentions. Now, I would like to show you guys where this is going to be taking place in your natal charts. As a reminder, I am a Western astrologer, so I'm going to be looking at this from the perspective of the rising sign. And to make the most of my predictions, I recommend listening to your rising sign first, because this is actually going to show you exactly which house the Cazimi is going to be taking place in. That's the area where, honestly, it probably feels like everything's under construction with like the eclipses and the planets conjunct the South Node. Very similar also to the effects from the solar eclipse. But we're really taking into consideration the fact that there is going to be some kind of information pertaining to some of the other events taking place later in the month. So listen to your rising sign. I use whole sign method, but if you want to use Placidus, you just need to kind of find where 21 degrees of Virgo is in your chart. So you might have to listen to more than one rising sign. And you can also listen to your sun sign. I would listen to your sun sign because this is a solar conjunction. So you will probably really resonate with the predictions from your sun sign. And you can listen to your moon sign as well to see how this can be impacting you for some emotional guidance. So I'm going to start first with my Aries and my Aries risings. And we're going to take a look at where this Cazimi is taking place for you. Obviously in your 6th house. So you're still dealing with some of the same effects of the South Node conjunctions recently. You're also preparing for this up and coming solar eclipse. And the 6th house is going to be about health, work, and routines, as well as service. So when we think about this, the sun actually rules your 5th house. So it could be, care for children, making time for dating. It could also mean that you're trying to find more joy in your day-to-day routine. And the 5th house is going to be about matters of the heart. While Mercury rules your 3rd house of communication, writing, learning, and short distance trips, siblings even, and your 6th of health. So when we put it all together, the Cazimi is really going to revolve around getting mental clarity in your daily health and habits. And, because the sun rules creativity and romance, it's about infusing fun into your routines, while Mercury is going to be about sharpening ideas and, having more of an idea of how you can bring this kind of more into your schedule, or how you can have more fun with like being efficient and like also creative at work. Now, the connection to the South Node and the up and coming eclipses is really urging you to kind of release these patterns of like you overworking. But also this is preparing you, I think, for new beginnings where you can have like a new, kind of schedule where you're creating more time for the things that you love. So I would say that my tips for you guys for this Cazimi in your 6th house is going to be that you want to watch for, breakthroughs that can be happening when it comes to job tasks or your fitness plans. Watch for health insights and obviously communicate effectively to kind of avoid burnout. I think that can happen. There can be some news about changes going on with work schedules, people kind of leaving the office. There may be a little bit of gossip going around about that. And there can definitely be some challenges in like gadgets, computers, communications, like meetings, like apps at work that can break down. And it can also show you where, there is like a new app or there is like a new breathwork exercise, or maybe journaling can be really helpful for like kind of balancing like the mind and the body in your 6th house. Watch for communications at work or with healthcare providers. That can definitely be a theme where there can be some kind of news coming up that you're becoming aware of to better set you up for some of the new health goals that will come closer to the 21st solar eclipse. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Aries. Let me know what happens. Taurus and Taurus risings, you guys are going to experience a Mercury Cazimi taking place on September 13th. This will be happening in your natal 5th house. Well, first things first is the sun really likes being in the 5th house. And obviously this is a superior conjunction. So I think this is going to be particularly fortuitous for my Taurus risings. You are going to find that Mercury is strongly tied to your 5th house, which obviously is about, creativity, children, romance, and pleasure. And it's kind of infusing with the ruler of the 4th house, the sun. So we put that all together in the 5th. This is really creative insights and having more of like a sense of feeling joyful in your expression or your creative projects. Because the sun is connected to your 4th house in your home, it's blending fun with family. And Mercury is also tied to your 2nd house, which rules values. So this is about clarifying self-worth through artistic pursuits, I think. Maybe having a chance meeting with somebody, reconnecting with a romantic partner from the past, reconnecting with kids, or there could be some positive news or exciting things revolving around children. And the South Node really is saying it's time to really release outdated pleasures. And it's really focusing on, setting up resets, I think, when it comes to romance and hobbies. I would watch for new romantic messages or like childlike related clarity, and also watch for, playful ideas that can turn into really fruitful new creative projects. Definitely value your talents, Taurus, and this is really about bringing forth what I feel like is going to be some inspired projects in the future. Hope that's helpful for you guys. Gemini and Gemini rising, you guys are going to be experiencing the Mercury Cazimi taking place in your natal 4th house. Not only is Mercury your ruling planet, but it's also by sign squaring you. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens like the 13th, the 14th, as the moon goes through your sign and it starts squaring this Cazimi. Now, Mercury rules you, your body, your actions, your appearance, your identity. It's also connected to the past, home, family, property, and roots. While the sun is going to be conjunct Mercury, the sun rules your third house. So this is pretty much saying that, putting it all together, there's emotional foundations and family talks in the fourth house. It's also enhancing your sibling bonds or, any connection that you have with your, close family. And it's empowering personal identity at home or your place in the home. So you might feel like in many ways you're having to kind of be more assertive in how you're communicating with people, or maybe it means that, you're signing a lease or you're buying a home, or there is some important kind of agreements revolving around home and family changes. There can be a back and forth that you're doing with like a male relative or family member at home. And the connection to the up and coming eclipses is really, this is about releasing old family karma through the South Node. So it's leading to, eclipses that's going to bring you some sense of renewal at home. I predict that, home organization epiphanies are going to happen. Watch for ancestral insights, express yourself domestically. And I do predict that there is going to be more stability coming here soon at home. But for many of you guys, I think it's just going to be about like a breakthrough revolving around, well, how do I have a conversation with this family member? Or where do I want to live? Or, are we finding the right contractor or the right person to kind of help us with this change at home? And perhaps something that's missing that, has been missing has been found. It's also possible that there can be some exciting or unexpected communication taking place with a sibling or a neighbor. So watch for that. Good luck, Gemini. We got Cancer and Cancer rising. You guys are going to experience the Mercury Cazimi in Virgo taking place in your natal third house. All right, Cancer. Well, the third house is all about communication, learning, sibling short trips. This could also be about gadgets, cars, and social media, and any connections maybe that you have to also like learning. Now, Mercury is the ruler of all of these things in your third house, but it's also the ruler of your 12th house, which is kind of hidden and subconscious. And when we put this all together in your third house, when you see the Sun-Mercury conjunction, it's going to represent for you, sharp ideas and local connections. Obviously, the Sun ruling your second house of finances is linking towards, your words kind of formulating your worth. And because Mercury is connected to the 12th house, it's revealing kind of hidden thoughts. So I definitely would like to see you guys doing some journaling. There might be, looking up dreams in a dictionary, dream dictionary that can be kind of coming up because of the connection to the 12th house. And I think that this is really positive for you guys when I think about the eclipses coming, because this is about clearing away mental clutter and really kind of priming for new opportunities to learn or travel post eclipses. Now, at the time of the Cazimi, not only is the moon your ruler squaring it, so I feel like there is going to be some kind of like, oh man, like I knew this person was going to call me, or I knew this conversation was going to come up, or I had a dream about this, or maybe you have a hunch something is going on with like a family member or like a sibling. But it's also sextiling Jupiter in your sign. So it can also mean that there can be moments of like clarity and like being optimistic about some of the changes that are happening. And maybe you're saying, hey, you know what? I am going to start a new walking routine. Or maybe it means that you're going to start doing, meditation or breath work exercises as the third house is breathing and lungs. I could also see this as having like unexpected kind of communication. Like you're going to get a text message or an email, or maybe something is like in your spam box, or there's like a voicemail that you missed. So watch for miscommunications to kind of give you clarity about how to kind of navigate as you're moving forward into the eclipses later this month. But I do think I would expect some sibling news or study breakthroughs. Watch for travel delays and go through all of your travel details if you're traveling. Speak your value. And I think this is about really being clear when it comes to your ideas and communication. Good luck. We've got Leo and Leo rising. You guys are going to have the Mercury Cazimi in your second house. So this is significant for you and definitely foreshadowing some of the things with the solar eclipse that's yet to come. Obviously, Mercury rules your second house of personal finances, values, possessions, and self-worth. But it also has a ties to your 11th house of community, friends, goals, and networks. So as Mercury conjuncts the sun, which rules you in the second house, this basically means that, it's going to boost giving you more financial clarity. And it's like about reassessing your values, better confidence when it comes to earnings. And also, I think networking with other people for abundance opportunities. Now, tying this to the South Node and the up and coming eclipses, this is about releasing material attachments with the South Node and eclipsing into new worth paradigms. I do predict for many of you guys that this might materialize as budget insights or income ideas, money coming in that, is coming from friends or group connections. Just watch for possession shifts, and you really want to align goals with yourself. And I do predict that there can be some very prosperous kind of talks and conversations over resources and some kind of support coming your way from an audience or from a network. Good luck, my Leos. I hope it's an abundant one for you guys. For Virgo and Virgo rising, you guys are going to have a Mercury Cazimi in your sign. So if you have anything that's going to be 20, 21, 22 degrees of Virgo, it's very prominent for you. This could be about a moment or like an epiphany that's very personal. You can also have like psychic downloads, or you can be like a little bit more like tapped in. And obviously the first house is about yourself, your identity, your appearance. It's also about your goals and your initiatives. Mercury also ties to your 10th house of your career and your professional life. And the sun is connected to your 12th house of kind of your subconscious, sometimes self-undoing, sometimes bad habits and fears. So putting that all together, first of all, this is a very powerful moment for personal reinvention and self-expression. So it's almost like there's a spotlight on you and you can be feeling very inspired and like driven. But also that sun connection is really illuminating the shadow side of some of your kind of ways of thinking and like the way that you present yourself. And I think that this is really about trying to advance your professional career or your personal image and how you're kind of connecting with others. So I heard a lot of feedback from Virgo and Virgo risings. Uranus in your 10th house is like, my job's not stable. The Mercury retrograde that happened in the 12th house has been very reflective. And the moon's going to be coming through the 10th house and it's going to square. So it's very likely that, maybe you're focusing on your professional goals. Maybe there is going to be an interaction that you have with somebody at work or an interview or, some changing circumstance at work that's putting you in a position of being like, okay, how am I going to improvise and kind of pivot? I do think the ties to the eclipses are very personal for you because you're releasing old identities, and the eclipse that's coming in is going to be about fresh starts. So many of you guys might be making some changes to you personally or like your appearance to align with some of these new kind of career things that are coming in. And for what to watch for, I would say, image upgrades, confidence boost, watch for health signals. This can be important, and career communications can shine. And I feel like you can be feeling very empowered with your presence, especially because of all the planets conjuncting the South Node. Like there can be a sense of you feeling very much in alignment with yourself and like really shining. So you guys will have to like let me know if it's like a dream, an intuitive download, or if it's like a big change going on with your professional life or your status. But I think it's actually going to be very prominent for you guys, and maybe you're going to feel like one phase is kind of wrapping up and you're really approaching the next phase, especially with the eclipses, from a very positive kind of perspective. Good luck. Libra and Libra rising, you guys are going to do the Sun Mercury Cazimi taking place in Virgo in your natal 12th house. So obviously this is behind the scenes, subconscious, spiritual. There's about endings. There's also secrets that are kind of coming up. Secret enemies, getting out of your own way, dealing with sometimes with bad habits. Isolation tendencies can be a theme here too. And Mercury is tied to this house, but also the 9th house, which is going to be more about your kind of belief systems and travel and higher education. Now, as Mercury and the Sun meet, it's tying in your 11th house ruler. So what this basically means is that there's going to be opportunities for you to be dreaming big privately. Okay. So whether you're vision boarding, you're meditating, maybe it means that you're expanding your intuitive wisdom. You're trying to be more optimistic about some of the changes that are kind of taking place in your life. And when we tie that into, the 11th house, it could mean that you're letting go of old goals, right? Or you're releasing old networks or old friendships, or there is like a feeling of like needing to be disconnected from some people for a little bit to really kind of focus in on what's important to you. And I do think that the South Node is really purging, some of your subconscious fears, which can really, really lead to, during the eclipse, like a rebirth energy for a lot of Libras. So I would watch for dream messages or closure insights, watch for isolation, definitely explore philosophies inwardly. And I do predict that this can bring you moments of healing and solitude. So that way you're feeling better rested and kind of renewed come your birthday season. Good luck, Libra. All right, for Scorpio and Scorpio risings, you guys are going to be experiencing the Mercury Cazimi in Virgo in your natal 11th house. This is going to be really highlighting the themes of friends, schools, networks, associations, and anything kind of connected with your social life. Now, the sun rules your 10th house of career and status, so it can be like work groups or work collaborations, associations, and networking events. And Mercury ties to social connections as well as the 8th house of change and transformation through Gemini. So when we put it all together, the Cazimi in your 11th house is really kind of saying this is about social clarity and goal alignments, linking networks to status, and also having better intimacy and deepening community bonds with other people. Now, the South Node connection in the up-and-coming eclipse is tying it all together where you're really releasing unaligned friends via the South Node, and it's eclipsing and bringing in new aspirations. So for what I see for you guys is, for tips and tricks, group ideas or group collaborations, they may be feeling like there's a breakthrough this day where you kind of realize who you need to work with or align with. There might be some professional or friendship associations that you're disassociating with or disconnecting with. Certainly that can happen as well. I would be watching for friend dynamics. And I also think that this is positive because you will be able to share your transformations that you're going through with other people in the 11th house. And there could be amazing kind of collaborative opportunities or wins that can be coming through for you to kind of connect with other people. So you're feeling more so supported, whether that's socially or professionally. Good luck. We've got Sag and Sag rising. You guys will experience the Sun Mercury Cazimi taking place in Virgo in your natal 10th house. For you guys, this is the house that deals with your career, reputation, authority, and your public life. Now, Mercury ties to your relationships, partnerships, clients, and allies, as well as your professional life and your career, while the Sun is connected to your 9th house, and that deals more with, expansion, your belief system, education, learning, and legal matters. So when we put this all together, basically, this is going to be a time where there's lots of opportunity for professional insights and recognition. Maybe especially if you're involved in like anything health related or traveling related, stuff connecting to teaching and traveling, there could be some connection here with your career. And just broadening your ambitions and also your partnerships and like learning how to negotiate with success with other people. Now, I do feel like for many of you guys, because this is also coming in during a square from your opposite sign with the moon, watch major relationships and like partnerships themes and how like changes happening in relationships are bringing about some significant, changes with your professional life as well. So like things with clients, things with partners, and career coaches or mentors can also kind of pop in. And as you're kind of approaching the South Node, solar eclipse and some of the other transits that will then follow, I think that this is going to be about really dealing with clearing outdated status and really setting you up for career resets. So if you're feeling like tired or burnt out or you want to make a change, it's like, okay, well, a partner is going to be like, let me help you, or let's do it together. Or maybe a business partner comes in, or a therapist is kind of helping you, or even a job coach is helping you kind of navigate some of these changes. I would watch for with the Cazimi, like really important communications at work. It can also mean that, job offers can come in. There could be an important meeting with a boss. Watch for, public views. And there can definitely be, partners that can come in that can help you with growth. And I do predict that there is going to be more of a sense of having more clarity in terms of how to take action when it comes to your career and your public life. Good luck. All right, we've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You guys are going to be experiencing the Mercury Cazimi in Virgo, a fellow sister Earth sign. So, if you have any aspects around like 20 to 24 degrees, it'll be trining you, so it's friendly. And this is taking place in your ninth house where the sun and Mercury are going to conjunct in this sign. So the ninth house deals with traveling, legal matters, publishing, adventure, mentors, and your kind of belief system. Mercury is tied to all of these things, as well as health habits in your daily routine. And the sun is about change and transformation. So I do predict for a lot of Capricorn or Capricorn risings. It's very possible that there's going to be philosophical breakthroughs, exploration, obviously, some kind of transformation and deeper wisdom. It might mean that, there is a connection to work and traveling, or having more expansive ideas. But this could be a time where, you meet a very significant mentor or a teacher, especially if they're going to help you when it comes to legal matters, work matters, or your health. I also think that for many of you guys, this could materialize as some kind of like unexpected expenses revolving around education, legal matters, or travel. And with the up and coming, solar eclipse in Virgo and the conjunctions on the South Node, it's really trying to get you to release any rigid views, and really it's eclipsing things out so you have different perspectives. Easier said than done. I know that some of these energies are kind of coming into opposition with Saturn, your chart ruler, but taking time to really think things through, journaling, reflecting on things, maybe being open to changing your perspective, or kind of adopting a new belief or philosophy about work, travel, or health can be beneficial for you. And I do predict that travel plans or study insights are going to pop up with this Cazimi. Just watch for legal details and apply routines to learning. And there's going to be like more kind of broadened, I think, mindsets when it comes to work and health that's going to unfold. Good luck. All right, we got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You guys are going to experience the Mercury Cazimi in Virgo in your natal 8th house. Obviously, Mercury is tied to your 8th house through themes of intimacy and shared resources, transformation, intimacy, and mysteries. But this can also mean secrets. This can mean things connecting to other people's money, joint, finances, debt, loans. And Mercury also ties to the 5th house of children, creativity, joy, and taking risks. So as Mercury and the sun conjunct, it's also tying in your 7th house of partnerships, the sun. So there's going to be a lot of like interesting conversations, information, things coming up about intimacy and romantic relationships, shocking, surprising financial things in partnerships, changes in terms of investment strategy. And I do predict for many of you guys that this is going to produce a situation where there's going to be deep revelations and mergers, illuminating partnerships, as well as creativity and intimacy, and helping you focus more on having opportunities to have joy and being willing to take risks. Financially or in love or in relationships are definitely a theme. Now, we are coming up on, eclipses. We've had planets dancing on the South Node just prior to this aspect, and it's really saying that this is releasing trust issues, leading to, I think, a lot more depth and renewal of relationships with other people. And perhaps even some faded financial things that are going to be coming up, where other people are going to be coming in and they're going to be a little bit more generous with you, or giving you information about what's going on with your joint finances, or being willing to help. Now, I do think that one thing you want to watch for is that there can be some power plays that can come up. And we want to really focus on creating in bonds with other people. And I do think that there can be some healing conversations that you can have with partners, and also opportunity to kind of heal childhood wounds. That's pretty much it. I'm excited to see how this manifests for you guys, because obviously 2nd and 8th house, both for you as well as Leo, are very financial, but you might actually have people coming in that are willing to be more generous and feeling like there's finally some karmic kind of repayment for some of your good deeds. So you guys will have to let me know if that happens. Good luck. And for Pisces and Pisces risings, you guys are going to experience the Mercury Cazimi taking place in Virgo in your opposite sign in your 7th house. Mercury, obviously, conjunct the sun, is tying in the themes of the 7th house of partnerships, marriage, one-on-one relationships, maybe relationships you have with healthcare practitioners or with people you work with. And it's also connected to your 4th house of home and family, roots in the past, while the sun is connected to the 6th house of schedule, health, care, and service. So when you see the Cazimi, first of all, if I was like a Pisces or a Virgo rising, I'd really be paying attention once again this entire week, because it's a part of the storyline of planets hitting the South Node. it is possible for some Pisces and Pisces risings, you guys are feeling like, there's really surprising, or sudden kind of conversations that are going on with you and partners. There could be sudden changes with relationships with your healthcare team or practitioners or people you work with. But there can also be people from the past that can be coming back up. So, the South Node connection there, that's significant. Now, I do think that it is possible because Venus is in the 6th house and because we also see that the sun rules the 6th house and it's coming into conjunction with the South Node and Mercury, that some Pisces are about to see some major changes in their relationships. It can be that relationships are ending or that there are like kind of karmic connections that are coming in. But all in all, I would say this is about having better relational clarity or contracts with other people. Balancing, service and ties, and having better balance when it comes to home and relationships, and being able to better communicate family matters. So there can be some really kind of like sudden shocking, kind of news or information from a partner regarding, a family matter, where you're living, if you're moving, if they're moving. And that connection to the South Node and the solar eclipse coming up is saying it's clearing out codependency, and it's really eclipsing anything out that's not going to be a healthy alliance. So what you want to watch for is, partner messages or commitment insights. Watch for imbalances in relationships. And I would be saying now is a really good time to be grounding your emotions. And I do predict that there can be surprising, conversations with other people or people who are wanting to talk to you or reaching out to you. But I'm also a realist, and I know that the South Node is what you're moving away from. And all of this is starting to kind of into opposition with Saturn and Neptune, which will soon be in your sign. So it's a lot of going like other people's problems are not my issues, or not wanting to have like conflict or like whatever you're going through, that's fine. That's your thing, but not letting it rock the boat when it comes to home and family matters. And watch for that unexpected sudden communication, either from partners, people from the past, or people that you work with. Okay. So let me know, Pisces, how does this kind of hit for you guys? And with that being said, I hope that that's helpful in giving you guys everything you need to know in the heads up for this up and coming Cazimi. It looks rather illuminating. It looks a little spicy, honestly, at 20 degrees. So I'm wondering what the secrets are going to be that's kind of unfolding. Obviously, use the 13th as like a moment where you're just more aware, you're more tapped in, you're kind of receiving those messages. Use the clarity also to refine your world in preparation for this up and coming solar eclipse in Virgo on the 21st. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this video, if it resonated with you, definitely give me a thumbs up. Drop me your comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys after you have these Cazimi moments on the 13th, 14th, 15th. Let me know how it plays out and what some of the surprises are, and honestly, how we can be better prepared before we get into that eclipse, because I feel like those of us who are tapped into this transit will be able to see what's coming, and we'll be able to kind of strategize and problem solve, hopefully to avoid any of the communication issues or the kind of eclipse fallout that can happen later in the month. Don't forget to comment your rising sign. Let me know what's happening. Subscribe to the channel so you can get more of these videos. And if you guys want to hang out with me tomorrow, I'm going to be here doing live tarot readings. Great time to get your questions answered, especially with like all this like Mercury South Node stuff. It's a great time for like divination. So come hang out with me tomorrow. I'll be here at 6:00 p.m. Central Time. That's 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be reading cards. I'll post the link in the community tab so you guys can sign up early if you would like to get a reading. And until next time, you guys stay blessed, stay centered, because it's going to be a little hard this week. And keep your eyes and ears open for some of these Mercury messages. I'll see you guys all back here really soon. Take care.